Hey everybody, nice job on last week's assignment. Before moving to this week's, I want to clarify something that I saw a lot of mistakes with. Many of you are trying to make your bass lines more complex and are running into issues when you're doing that. Use the same rhythm. The rhythm can be one measure long or it can be two measures long, but after you make that rhythm, make sure it repeats every time it happens. You don't want to go into too much fancy stuff. You've got to know the rules before you break them. This week, choose your level of difficulty. The songs are ranked by difficulty and complexity. So the first song is the easiest with a really cute music video, and then they get progressively harder till you get to the last song. I'll be posting short videos for option 3 and 4 after this video. Song 3 is In My Life by the Beatles, and that uses a 7 chord and a minor 4 chord. And song 4 is Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day. It uses a minor 4 chord like the earlier song does, but also has a unique bass line feature that doesn't go with the chords. So work on the first two at your leisure, or you can jump ahead to video 3 or 4 for specifics. I'm looking forward to seeing what you put together. Okay, song 1 and 2. Both these songs use some kind of new-ish chords. If you see a chord like Roman numeral 2 or Roman numeral 3, you can use the cheat sheet I've attached, or you can just go up to that note in the scale. 1, 2. After that, you build the triad. I can do this with the drop-down feature up here, or I can use the shortcut option 3 to add the third. If I do this 2 times, I can get 2/3. If I have a different chord, like Roman numeral 3 chord, I go to the third note in the scale, remembering not to use all these ugly notes with the accidentals, and build my triad the same way. 1, 2, 3. Then option 3, option 3. Okay, let's talk 1/7 chords. Previous chords we've looked at have only 3 notes, but 7th chords introduce a 4th note. 7th chords stack one more third on top of the highest note from the original triad. And it's so close to an octave by this point, I prefer to think of it as one note lower than the bottom note from the triad. Whether it's high or low, the 7th doesn't matter. Now what is important is that the 7th is 2 half steps lower than the bottom note, or 3 half steps higher than the highest note in the triad. In this case, with a 1/7 chord, it'll be a B flat. With a 1/7 chord, you have to manually move the note so that an accidental appears. Otherwise, you've got different 7th chords. So if you want to get fancy, this chord is called a dominant 7. There are loads of different types of 7th chords, depending on the different half steps involved in the notes. It's important we get this one right. You may also hear about a major 7th, minor 7th, half diminished 7th, or fully diminished 7th. But we don't really care about all those other ones right now. This song uses a minor 4 chord. If you remember from earlier on our arranging unit, we discussed the difference between major and minor chords. To study this difference, we look at the distance between the bottom note, called the root, to the third note, cleverly called the third. In major chords, there are 4 half steps from root to third. In minor chords, there are only 3 half steps from root to third. So what we're going to do to make the major 4 chord into a minor 4 chord is identify the third and lower it 1 half step. We go from this sound to this sound. When a major 4 and a minor 4 are paired right next to each other, there can be a really haunting or nostalgic musical quality that happens to that phrase. The chord progression I've written for this song shows the bass line movement underneath a chord. In this case, it's the same chord. If you ever see a chord followed by a slash and then a note name that follows, that implies the chord, which comes first, is above the note name, which is underneath. So, our first mystery chord is a 1 chord in the harmony with a B in the bass. The second chord is a 1 chord in the harmony with an A in the bass, and so on. This is a common feature used to make the bass line stand out from the harmony parts.